Hey folks, it's me, Wishy But if that's too long for you, you can just call me Wishy. Or J, as in like a single J. Yeah, let's go with that. Anyways, lately I've been looking for other ways to obtain profit from my art other than commissions. Because, well, I'm not getting any commissions at all, and the whole thing is starting to frustrate me. Hence why, today I'm gonna talk about this art contest that I participated in on Facebook. It was just like any other day, boring, uneventful, until I stumbled upon a shared post about an art contest. So naturally, I became curious and I dug deeper. From that said post, there was a book cover art contest where participants are given a set of prompts where they can choose from. The participants will then make a book cover art based on the prompt that they chose. And so, we get to the part where Wandering Jay looks through the set of prompts to choose from to choose a prompt. And then he saw it. Prompt number 2, titled Shadows of the City. This prompt stuck out to me because it's edgy, very, very special. To give you a quick rundown of the story, it is basically about a girl who can do magic, and she's apparently very ruthless, and a guy who can turn into a wolf. So basically, it is like Twilight, but Edward is out of the picture, and it's only Jacob and Bella. This connection of mine was strengthened by their specification that the guy doesn't wear a shirt, which can be connected to Jacob having the habit of taking his shirt off in front of a lot of people during the movies. Most importantly, their description of the guy being shirtless means that I have to draw anatomy, which the thought of definitely does not drain my brain's fluids. But I pursued because of three very important reasons. One, I am a very passionate artist who will endure a lot of hardships to show my passion for art. And two, I need money. And most of all, number three, I need money. So I got to work because I have a book to cover. I started by thinking about the pose that I want my characters to be in. And by thinking, I mean scribbling until my abnormally smooth little brain sees an image that isn't even there. After a while, there it is. I saw the pose that I wanted. So I once again scribble, or I guess this time roughly sketching the whole thing to just give me an overview. Not zooming in, just normal peripheral size. Other than being shirtless, they also describe the guy as being ruthless yet caring and gentle at the same time when time calls it. Oh yeah, his name is apparently Klaus. I drew him smiling, and to really show his strength, I made him carry our girlie, whose name is actually Lumine, who is sassily sitting on his biceps. In their description, they said that she holds two daggers but also uses magic. So I did just that by making her left hand hold both of the daggers and the right hand to do the magic thingy. Very, very surprisingly though, the guy's anatomic details didn't really bother me that much. Of course, I'm not saying it's perfect, but rather what I'm saying is that I was able to put in the details needed to fool the viewer's eyes into thinking, yeah, that looks good. Also, I forgot to add his nipples. And now, you're gonna have to live with that fact for the rest of the video because until the end, I forgot about it. But I thought it'll be okay because, well, who's gonna look for nipples anyway? Moving on, after the sketch, I did the line art, aka the not so very fun part for me because it takes a hell of a long time. Also, they didn't say anything about his bottom clothing, so I just made him a brown slacks thing and put fur on top because he has animal-like descriptions and I thought it would look suiting. For Lumine, however, they provided a much more detailed description for her clothing, instruments, and overall appearance. They said that she has long black hair and wearing black leather clothing. I originally wanted to make it into a hoodie, but that seemed too easy and I hate myself and I want myself to suffer. So I chose this leather, I don't know what to call it, leather clothing. That's what I'm gonna call it from now on. And some boots, because I couldn't be bothered enough to draw a foot. After the long and tedious line art process, I was finally onto coloring. I started by adding a purple-ish base color and adding the flat colors to the respective areas while maintaining the same saturation throughout the whole illustration with the color brown as the dominant color. For Lumine, she has light skin, which means I chose a light brown flesh color for the skin, of course. I don't like to put things in pure black, so I used a color lighter than black. The same was also done for clothings. They're all just different shades of gray slash black. For the guy, a darker, warmer, and more tan brown shade for his skin, brown for his hair, light brown for his pants, and a milky white for his fur. Right after that, I applied gradients to the flat colors to give it some more color variations, such as the blush in the middle of the face, on the tip of the nose, and the fingers. For the hair, a gradient from dark to light to highlight its three-dimensional look. Now that all that's done, I'll be moving on to the rendering phase. I start with the big shadows to give the whole thing a three-dimensional look. Again, not zooming in, just normal peripheral size. And right after that, I did the opposite. I zoom in very closely to put shadows on areas where I thought looked right, even though they probably aren't, to give it value and highlight the areas where light does not hit the surface. These areas being below the nose, under the head, armpits, the elbow, in between the abs, and between and below the chest. After his skin, I worked on his clothing, which is just his pants, so it wasn't as much work as his skin. After that, I added the eyes by adding the same milky white color for his fur and putting the pupils. And finally, with claws being done, we are finally onto Lumine. Now, as I said earlier, Lumine's skin tone is lighter than Gloss, so obviously I had to make a different color palette with more paler shades. However, the process is the same with Gloss's skin, big shadows to small shadows. Then, after the skin looks like, well, skin, I moved to her clothes with pretty much the same big shadows to small shadows process. Also, at first I wanted the straps on each of her shoulders to be black fabric, but then realized they blend in too well with the rest of her black outfit, so I just made them into metallic straps. Oh yeah, and also for her belt. Since her outfit is leather, it should have a bit of a reflective behavior, so I added shines on her outfit as well. After that, I added a multiply layer above all of the initial layers of the characters and darkened up the bottom part of the both of them to hide my incompetence in shading Klaus's pants and make the viewer's eyes look at the upper segment of the illustration, especially their beautiful faces. After that, I made their faces even warmer, and to even make them stand out, I added a color burn layer below an add layer. I almost forgot, but thankfully didn't, to add her magical powers. And what better way to signify sorcery than the famous Doctor Strange's magical hand circles? However, though, looking at it on Google for references, the overcomplicated design is already making my lower eyelid twitch. So, as one does, I just made a couple of layered circles and airbrushed a bright red on an add layer and hoped that that would satisfy the viewer's eyes. And There we go. Finally adding some finishing touches like the bright red rim light from the magic circle thing. And now we're onto the design, like lettering, background, and other important design stuff. Now this is the part where I actually had trouble with, because I draw nothing but humans with no regards to anything else whatsoever. So I started to look for references and I observed some patterns. They all have borders and the title of the book. Duh. Now I just need to find a way to incorporate those 2 minutes of observations into my project. And I realized that I also have no idea how to do that. But to keep myself from overthinking everything into not having anything done, I just started to put a border that was meant to be a placeholder, which might as well get used to it because I ended up making it the final thing, and then played around with the positions of the letters as well as their colors. And after a while of thinking, and by a while, I mean 3 minutes because I was getting so lazy at this point, I settled on this design. A golden yellow as its border, and I made the color of the word city into the same golden yellow as the borders. I then polished it up with some shimmers to signify that this is indeed metallic, and we're pretty much done here. Here it is, my book cover illustration for an art contest. I really had no plans going into this, but looking at it now, I think I like how the final product turned out, and I think it looks good. Not just good, good enough. And I know it has been a long time now, but I just wanted to mention it again. Thank you so much for the 100 subscribers. I really appreciate those who supported me, and I hope you will continue on supporting me. Stay tuned for the result of these competitions, and that's it for this video. I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.